Absolutely. That's great. You know, and I'm seeing it. So we are live now. Welcome, everybody in the Canadian Real Estate Hub Facebook group. Thank you everybody for joining us online today. Today's topic is one that's kind of, I guess, a little bit close to my heart. It's a fun topic. I think it's fun. It's, you know, basically if you could go back and advise yourself, you know, back to when you started in real estate, what would you say? Like, what kind of advice would you give yourself? Like for me, I'd have to go back 15 years and it'd be like, okay, if I were to sit myself down, what kind of advice would I give myself so that I could be even more successful, you know, over the course of the next 15 years than I have been. So like, what kind of things would you say to yourself where, you know, you fell down probably a lot. And if you didn't have to make those mistakes, what kind of advice would you give? So I think this is going to be a great topic. Just to kind of circle back and just kind of mention, you know, we did a mastermind on how to win in competing offers. And I'm seeing more and more and more of this. They're posting up on Facebook talking about how their buyers have written letters, they've done videos, they're sending them over to the sellers, and those are actually winning. It doesn't have to be all about dollars and cents. I had a post by a friend of mine, Alex Gerchin, actually, I just read it this morning on Facebook, and he was talking about how his seller had 2 offers, didn't like them, didn't offer back, didn't counter, had 2 more offers. One of them was from a single lady with 3 kids. They rejected those and then slept on it, came back and said, you know what, we really want to help this lady out. And, she wound up getting the house, and in large part because she wrote a letter with her offer. So, you know, I know that this kind of stuff works. So if you're thinking about deploying that type of strategy in your, you know, in your buyer business, then definitely do it. And like Vicky was saying when we jumped on the call here, it never hurts to be nice, right? Okay. All right, let's fire it up. You know what? I'm going to do this a little bit different today. Again, this is unscripted, guys. This is kind of off the cuff. This is what I love about these masterminds, is that there's no real agenda. There's no script. I just want to get conversation going and talk about, you know, what kind of advice you would give yourself going back all those years ago, you know, to help you be successful. So I'll fire it off. The first piece of advice, if I were to go back 15 years and sit my 2007 self down, I was part-time at the time. So I got licensed in August of 2007, you know, a ridiculously hot market. I think I've talked about this probably before in the past, but I was part-time. I didn't go full-time until April of 2008. But, you know, the one thing that I would probably sit myself down and talk to myself about is, look, before you go absolutely 100% full-time into this business, have money in the bank. Don't be fully reliant upon those commission checks that you think are going to come, you know, just streaming in. It's just not going to happen. So, you know, after having coached, you know, a lot of people, spoken in front of, you know, thousands of people on stage, the one thing that I would say is make sure that you've got at least 6 months worth of bills in the bank. So that's mortgage, that's you know, your utilities, your car payment, your cell phone payment, like every single bill that you can think of. So you have at least 6 months. And then on top of that, have some kind of a marketing budget. Because if you don't have money for marketing in this business, you're not going to see any sort of result, right? So, and it really, you know, some of the stuff can get super expensive. So if you're doing geofarming, you know, we had Ryan Smith on the call there last week talking about geofarming. Geofarming can be ridiculously expensive. Online leads can be ridiculously expensive, right? Hiring a marketing person to do all your social media can be ridiculously expensive. So ensuring that you've got money in the bank to make sure that your marketing efforts are actually going to start to see a return on investment. So the one thing that I would say, money in the bank and budget properly. Let's open it up. Vicky, what do you got? Oh, you got on mute. There you go. All right.
There I am. Hi, good morning. I would probably go back and say to myself, okay, Vicky, learn to set the habit of sitting down at a point in the day and make those frickin' phone calls. That's if I fall down in one area in my life, and it is ongoing ever since didn't matter what I've done in my life and work, and it's required, you know, making phone calls. That's the one area I always fall down. So I would go back and say, get that habit in and do it now.
Yeah, making phone calls. So who would you make phone calls to?
Everybody I could think of.
Okay.
So of course, I would also give myself some ideas of, you know, calling with purpose, right? And it's easy to pick up phones of past clients and clients, and go, oh, hi, how are you doing? But then of course or they have been so busy, they haven't talked to you for a couple of years. Right. And it's like, okay, how can you, keep that going? And that's something I would have myself set up, would be, here's your list of who you're calling. Here's what you should talk about, what you did talk about. And these are the times, even if you talk to them twice a year, it doesn't have to be every month, for God's sakes, but even twice a year, I would make myself do that for my sphere and current clients. And for cold calling, I hate cold calling with a passion. I would still say, just even reaching out for a small length of time every time. And Dorothea can account that she knows I'm really bad at this.
So really great point. So calling with purpose, not feeling like you have to call 4 times a year, just a couple times a year, but actually calling with purpose, right? So you know exactly what you're saying, you know exactly who you're going to call. Sage advice, absolutely. And to probably just to add to that, a lot of agents, what they don't do and what I didn't do, and, quite honestly, I didn't know anybody here in Calgary. I was still relatively new to the area. I was only here for 4 years when I got licensed. My wife, who had lived here since 1998 and was a teacher and knew a shit ton of people, would not let me mix business and pleasure. So I couldn't tap into her network. I had to do it all on my own. Right. So tough. So it's a tough thing when you don't know people, but if you're kind of native to the town that you live in or the city that you live in, if you grew up there, then you should have a pretty solid network of people. So making that list, making those calls, calling with purpose, know what you're saying before you make the call. Robin, what do you got for me, buddy?
I'd say invest in yourself. Go to the conferences, do the networking, take the courses, and just take in everything that's around you. There's so much energy that you can draw from being in groups of people, and just the learning and all of that part of being in real estate. Invest in yourself. It's the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, man. I love conferences, dude. I get so jacked up from conferences. And I mean, we've got our shareholder summit that's going on right now. And yeah, it's totally online and you're in the world and it's virtual. And it's, it's great that, we can listen to all of these, high level top end speakers and, from the comfort of my own home. But I'll tell you, man, I love getting on the plane. I love traveling. I love going down and getting in the hotel and, hitting the hotel bar and having a drink and meeting up with some people. And, the best thing about conferences is LobbyCon, right? It's hanging out in the lobby, having conversations with like-minded people. I've always found that every conference that I've been to, I get more out of being in the lobby, speaking with other agents, other business-minded people, rather than sitting in a room and listening to the talking head on the stage. Even though I've been that talking head many, many times, you get so much from it. And the other thing is the energy that you get from it, right? You come back and you're so jacked up, you're so energized. But what I find, I've been absolutely guilty of this. You take a book, you take a bunch of notes, and you jump on the plane and you put that note in your book bag or in your suitcase or whatever, and you come home and you unpack and you take that notebook out and you put it on your desk, and then you don't crack the fucker again, right? Like, it just doesn't happen. And I apologize for the F-bomb, but it's been 15 episodes, guys, and I haven't dropped an F-bomb yet. So if that offends you, I apologize deeply. Not.
That networking,
Yeah.
right? And getting to know the other agents, and the power of the referrals. I never really understood what that meant initially, but then when you start to get to know agents in other cities and just the power that has for your business, it's huge.
Yeah. 87% of my deals this year have come from referrals from other agents in different areas of the country. 87%. Like that's a strong amount. Like that's a strong network, but it's been 15 years of traveling and the tens and tens of thousands of dollars dropped on airfare and hotels and meals and, drinks and, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's taken time, but it's completely paid off. So great one, man. I love that. Yeah. Conferences, investing in yourself, coaching would be a good one. If you don't know where to start in terms of, your real estate business, finding a really good coach is super important. Something that I would probably add to that. This question actually got posted in it was in I think there was a Calgary Realtor Facebook group, and I answered the question. I think it was the first one to answer. And one of the things that I said was, it wasn't part of the 5 points that I made, but it was a point that I did make kind of down below. And that was, choose your mentors wisely, right? Choose the people that you are going to be surrounding yourself with wisely, because there's a very good possibility that you will become a sum of those people that you surround yourself with. Right. So just be certain. And, you don't know what you don't know. Unfortunately, early in my career, I surrounded myself with some of the wrong people and lost a few relationships as a result of that, based on advice that I received and that I took from these so-called mentors. So, lesson learned. I guess I could probably go back and tell myself that. Choose wisely. Right. Dorothea, I'm just going across the top of my bar here, and my camera just kicked out. So I'm going to go to my FaceTime camera, which sucks because that light is like right behind me now. I can't move my head very much anymore. Yeah, that DSLR. I read about that. It was supposed to be really bad. It just cuts off. So anyways, I'm back. Hello. Okay. All right. Dorothea.
Well, since Vicky already talked about doing phone calls, I would say practicing.
Oh, okay. So role playing, you mean?
Yes. Role playing, practicing. Whatever. I wasn't attending the script part. Unfortunately, I missed that. But yeah, basically practicing scripts or just practicing different scenarios.
Yeah. And, I love, a lot of people are like, scripts, I don't follow a script when I make phone calls. And I'm like, well, if a script does anything for you, it essentially keeps you on track. It keeps the conversation going, and it helps you understand what the other person's objections potentially could be and how to handle those objections. Right. And not even that, it's more or less, it's asking the right questions, right? Not asking open-ended questions. Like an open-ended question would be like a yes or no type of an answer. Hi, this is Kelly calling from ABC Real Estate. I'm just curious if you're still interested in purchasing a home in Calgary. No, I'm not. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Click. Well, that's not a sales call. That's not a good call to be making, right? You're not going to get any sort of a result from that, right? So yeah, Dorothea, I love that idea. I love the idea of role playing. I love the idea of scripting. Unfortunately, I think role playing is something that not a lot of people do because it's so friggin' uncomfortable, right? It is so friggin' uncomfortable.
And it's not going to happen if you don't set the time aside for it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Vicky, you got something to add?
Yeah, I do. I think some people, when they do role playing, they think that they have to make that script verbatim. So mine ties into when I started getting coaching. I started getting coaching many years ago, and you could see my business go from straight to like this, right? And he would have me write up my scripts, and I would need to memorize them until I learned them that way. And then he allowed me to turn them into my own. So if it is, instead of going, here's a bad example. Hello, it's Vicky Fairburn from another page calling. Let's go, hi, it's Vicky. I'm just giving you a call too, right? Not a good example, but it until you know the script the way you should say it, it's hard for you to make it your own. But making it your own makes it more genuine and more personal, I think. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. 100%. Okay, I love it. Scripting. Do it. If you don't, you're just going to be stuck. The last thing that we want is to pick up the phone and not know what to say, right? Or how to say it. So that was a great one, Dorothea. That's a great one. Tej, I'm going across the top line of my screen here. Tej, what do you got to add, my man? Loving the beard, dude. Rocking it.
I just shaved this morning.
Yeah, and it just grew back.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would take me probably about 15 years to grow. So
really, this is about a week.
Oh, I thought it was like
what I would say is pretty much
night.
consistent with everyone else, guys. Like what Kelly said. I used to go reach out to individuals that I wanted to be like, and just pick their brains, be a sponge, and like Robin said, invest in yourself. Like get that education. Consistency, like role playing, whatever you need to do it consistently. Like just don't try it, but keep at it, because I kept at it. I'm still keeping at it, right? Daily, weekly. I invest in myself, go onto webcam, different programs every day. I'm learning something new. Even though I've been in the business, 10 years now? But I'm consistently picking up things, learning from others, and trying to avoid the bad habits from others. You see the realtors out there that you think that they're doing well, but then you see what they're doing. It's not really much. It's just they've been in the business so long.
Right.
So that's
yeah, man.
But
So that's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's all you would give yourself advice for. Just, kind of, so, okay. So here's what I'll challenge you on. So as an agent with 10 years in the business, I mean, you've obviously done quite well for yourself, Tej. I mean, are you tracking, are you measuring everything that you're doing? I mean, is that something that you would talk to yourself? Is that something that you're doing right now?
actually, I never started that way, Kelly. In the beginning, it was just fly by the seat of your pants. But last couple of years, I have been tracking where the business is coming from, where it's going, everything. I've got these spreadsheets now that I kind of track how many calls I'm making. Before it was just kind of make them, but now I'm saying to myself, I got a whiteboard right here. It's telling me I got to make 11 calls minimum daily.
Right.
Talking to people. So I am tracking things now, probably within the last 3 years. But I would say start doing that earlier than later.
Yeah. So there you go. I love that. So I love the idea of tracking, measuring. What you don't track, you can't measure.
Yep.
Right. And that's really, really important. So it's either the calls that you're making and the results that you're getting from those phone calls, or it's the business. I put a property on the market 2 days ago. It went firm last night, multiple offers. We had 4 offers on the property. Before I even got the contract signed back by my sellers, I was opening up my spreadsheet and putting that deal into the spreadsheet. Right. I track where the business came from. If it's a referral, if it's a personal referral, if it's an agent referral, who the person is, the property address, the sale price, the commission amount, all of that. I track all of that information. So before the deal's even inked, I'm already tracking that info. Right. And so, yeah, absolutely, man. I think tracking and measuring. So the other thing is, I think a lot of people talk about systems and process, right? Here's the thing about systems and process. Anything that can be, I heard this from my good friend, Ben Fairfield, here just yesterday, who was speaking on at our event there. And what he was saying is that anything that is repeatable can become a process or a system. So think about it from this perspective. How many times have you sent an email to a client after you've listed their house with the list of things that need to get done, what to expect? Right. So it's showing time. We're going to set you up on the Showing Time app. We're going to, when the property goes live, here's where it's going to go. It's going to hit realtor.ca within a couple of minutes now. Here are the things like showings and stuff. Here's how we're going to stagger and schedule all the showings on your property. All of those items can be duplicated. That one email can be written one time, copied and pasted multiple times. You now have a process. You now have some kind of a system. It becomes part of your listing system, right? So, a lot of people say, well, I gotta have a process. I gotta have a system. I gotta have all of this stuff. I gotta figure all this stuff out. And it's like, well, first of all, the first thing that you need to do is focus and concentrate on getting deals, right? Because without the deals, you got nothing to process. There's no system to have there, right? So absolutely tracking, measuring, that becomes part of the system. That becomes part of the business development side of things. And the reason that you want to track and measure is so that you have an understanding of who you're going to be making phone calls to. Like what Vicky said, right? All of those past clients that you've serviced over the course of the last year, it's picking up the phone at the beginning of the following year and just checking in, right? That's all it is. And then maybe another check-in towards the end of the year or whatever. All right. So who else we got in here? Okay. Oh, Renee and Taryn. We got Renee and Taryn. So Renee is brand new to being a realtor, but not brand new to real estate, right? In fact, I just found this out by following Renee on Instagram. You were on an episode of the House Hunters International, were you not?
I was, yes.
That's friggin' awesome. Like one of these things that just an unknown tidbit about somebody that you're getting to know. I think that's friggin' great.
Yeah.
Tell us just a little bit about that really quick.
Well, so my husband and I owned a real estate company in Huatulco, Mexico for 4 years. And not a lot of people, well, more people know about Huatulco now, but when we were living there, not as many. And we were really, really trying to we were talking about networking, get business going, and really trying to get awareness for that area. So we reached out to the production company that does House Hunters International. They had never been there, and we reached out to them and said, hey, you want to come down? And they came down and filmed an episode with me and one with my husband. And then after that, a Canadian production company approached us, and we did there's a show that only ran for a couple years in Canada called Live Here By This, and we did a couple episodes of those too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, this is totally mind blowing. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you the question, and it's going to be kind of a different twist on it. So you're new in real estate, but you're new to being a realtor, but you're not new to real estate. You have an extensive history with new home sales and that kind of stuff. What is it from your past experience of being in new home sales and House Hunters International, all that kind of stuff, your experience in owning a brokerage down in Mexico? What is it from that experience that you're taking and bringing into your real estate business today? Maybe just give us a couple of things.
Yeah, just networking, like just really focusing on the vast amount of people that I've met over the years and in a whole bunch of different places. Like I was late to this call because I was actually on a call with a gentleman in San Miguel, Mexico, who's going to help me try to recruit agents that I know in Mexico into EXP.
That's awesome.
So I just reached out because I saw him on Workplace. And so I'm just really trying to same thing with new home sales, like my experience with investors. I'm reaching out to investors that I know in Vancouver to try to get some of my downtown condos here in Calgary sold. So really for me, it's working that network of people that I've sort of met over the years to try to move some stuff forward. So.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, great. Taryn Posada. So Taryn is brand new to real estate, brand new to the business. Taryn, how long have you been licensed? About 6 months now? 8 months?
No, about 6 months now.
6 months? Yeah. See, I follow along. Right. Okay. So after listening to all of this stuff that Vicky has talked about, Robin's talked about, Dorothy has talked about, Tej talked about, Renee talked about, that I've waxed on about here over this call. Are you? I got to ask you a question. Are you doing any of these things right now today in your business?
Yes, I'm trying. I'm trying to introduce more and more things. So I'm just getting myself calling those people, calling and following up. Like when I get a lead, I call and yes, I did realize that I do need scripting a lot more than I was using at the beginning. Budgeting for marketing, that's a super important thing, because if we rely on deals coming in, it just, you're going to start with zero and then it's harder to pick up. So that's another thing that I'm trying to introduce more and more into my plan, and just taking care of past clients, whether they are from real estate or from, my design practice that I had, just following up with them, asking how they're doing. Maybe they are even selling the place that they just decorated, So
right.
Just trying to follow up and get, referrals from them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. So I love this conversation because we've got all of this experience, right? And then we've got the newbie here in Taryn, 6 months licensed, but again, new to being a realtor, but not new to real estate because she's got the design background and that sort of thing. So one thing that I respect you guys' time. We're coming up against the hour here pretty quick. We've committed to try to keep these to about 30 minutes if we possibly can. One thing that I will definitely mention, as far as budgeting and stuff is concerned, have at least two bank accounts, two business bank accounts. One is going to be for your operating budget. The other one is going to be for your taxes, right? Ooh, taxes, evil CRA. It's the one area that realtors are really horrible at, right? It's number one, actually doing the friggin' taxes. Number two, it's actually paying the friggin' taxes, right? Because your 150 or 250 or 350 grand that you make actually isn't 350 grand. You got to understand that, right? So simple math, very simple. Put 40% into your tax account. keep 20% in your operating account and move 40% into your personal account with, you know, your significant other, or if you're on your own, just, you know, move that other 40% into a completely separate account, call it savings, call it investments, call it whatever, right? So 40, 40, 20, very, very simple. The other thing that I wanted to make mention of was, again, coming back to this whole tracking and measuring and all of that stuff. Number one, get yourself a database, put that together, make sure that you've got some sort of a spreadsheet that you're able to put everybody and anybody that you know. So that's first name, last name, email address, physical address, phone number, absolutely important, right? Understand what your marketing budget is going to be. So taking that 20%, if you're lucky enough, you're, you know, relatively new in the business to actually have a commission check coming in, understand that 40, 40, 20 rule, right? Putting that 20% into your operating account and, you know, utilizing that money for your marketing services. Now, I'm just going to touch on that real quick. Do not invest in every shiny penny that you see. There is no magic bullet in this business. If anybody tells you that by investing in this platform or that platform, that they're going to help you, you know, grow your business by X amount or get you to close more deals, they are totally full of shit. Okay. So if you're going to invest money in some sort of lead generation item or whatever it is, some sort of piece of technology that you feel is going to help elevate your business, do the research, ask people that are actually utilizing the platform, or ask people that are in your network that you know, that you like, that you trust those mentors. Coming back to that again, right? Getting some really good intel from those people, and then make that decision, right? Don't go just throwing money at the wall, because the last thing that you want to do is wind up at the end of the month with a massive friggin' credit card bill and zero money in the bank account, right? So budgeting, you know, marketing, don't chase the shiny penny. And I'm going to come back to and just reiterate this. Choosing the people that you surround yourself with in this business is absolutely key, right? Do your research, the people in your office, the people that you associate with, that, you know, eventually Canada's going to open up again. Eventually we're going to have these networking events that come about, and you're going to meet a bunch of people at these networking events, at these conferences. When you get home and you had a really good conversation with somebody, do your research on that person before you reach out to them and start networking with them again, right? You've got to make sure that you guys are on the same level. And I'm not talking on the same level business-wise. I'm talking on the same level values-wise, right? If those people that you choose to network with and that are going to be mentors in your life, if you aren't a values match with them, or they aren't a values match for you, you're starting off on the wrong foot altogether. Robin, you got anything you want to leave these guys with?
Solid advice, bro. I don't know, be prepared to fail and fail again. Success comes with a combination of failures. So just keep failing and don't give up. That's what I would say. Yeah,
this business is filled with gut punches. And, you know, you've got to really learn how to take those punches. You got to really learn how to be in that ring and absorb that punch, you know, go down on one knee, get back up and move forward. Because if you don't, man, I'm telling you, this business can and will eat you alive. I've seen it. I've seen people, you know, 3, 5, 6 years in the business and they're out because they can't stomach it. Vicky, you look like you want to say one last thing here.
I keep a quote that Wayne Gretzky said in my office. And it says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Love it. Yep, 100%. Awesome. Okay, well, let's leave it there. Wayne Gretzky, my favorite hockey player of all time. Vicky Fairburn, my favorite realtor of all time. All right, guys, take care. Have a great week. Wednesday, get fired up. Push through to the end of the week. This is going to be a fantastic week. It's May. It's going to snow here in Calgary, which really sucks. Doesn't matter. Long weekend. Snuggle up with the fur babies, with the real babies, with significant other, whatever, on your own. Get a big bowl of popcorn and have a glass of wine and chill out and relax. Get some work done and have a great week, guys. Take care. Enjoy it. Thank you guys for your time and your attention.